Aaron says we're ready, so I'd like to call a meeting together of the Jefferson County Plan Commission, and I'd like to start out by having a pledge of allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. We're having a special meeting of the Jefferson County Commissioners to hear of the plans of the Plan Commission, and after they present, the public will have a chance for comment. But I would like everyone who wants to comment to state your name and address for the record. I'd like for comments to be short, like 3 to 5 minutes per person. Address your comments to the commissioners, and I like everything goes smoothly that way. So could representatives of the Plan Commission come up? That'd be Pat McGrath, Jeff Dagger, and Secretary Gay Jackson.
Good morning.
Go, Jeff.
Morning. Good morning.
Okay, well, good morning. I am Patrick McGrath. I'm the attorney for the Jefferson County Board of Zoning Appeals and the Jefferson County Plan Commission. Gay Jackson with me is the secretary for both boards. And of course, Jeff is the county elected surveyor and serves as a member of the Plan Commission and frequently is there for the Board of Zoning Appeals meetings as well. What we're here for this morning is that there's been an ongoing issue with regard to a complaint with regard to zoning enforcement within the county.
Please. We cannot hear.
Yes.
Close this door. We cannot hear.
Oh.
All right, and so then, and I know that.
One
Sorry,
second.
yes.
If someone comes to the door, be sure and let them in, so you can be attentive to that. Otherwise, leave the door cracked. So, all right, thank you. Go. I'm sorry.
Not at all.
Go ahead.
So we've had the Board of Zoning Appeals and the Plan Commission have had several hearings now. Just want to give you guys a brief history of what's been going on, and then we do have a resolution that we're asking the commissioners to consider. Basically, the history of this issue is in September 17th, 2012, the Chapos, Joseph and Sherry, applied for conditional uses with regard to the use of their property here in Jefferson County in the county. They were requesting two different uses. One was for manufacture and sales of firearms, and the other one is for an indoor-outdoor tactical firing range. The Board of Zoning Appeals held a hearing on October 2nd, 2012. All members were there and considered it. There was substantial public comment at that meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals. As a result of the hearing, the Board of Zoning Appeals approved the conditional use for the manufacture and sale of firearms and ammunition, and tabled the conditional use with regard to the indoor-outdoor tactical firing range that was proposed. After consideration and a second hearing then on November 7th, 2012, at which there was substantial public comment, the Board of Zoning Appeals voted to deny the indoor-outdoor tactical firing range. There were 3 votes against it, primarily on the basis of our sub-requirement number 7, which has to do with any detrimental use to the property that will be detrimental to neighboring uses. The primary concern of the Board of Zoning Appeals in the findings of fact was with regard to the noise that would be produced. Subsequently then, we didn't hear anything as a board or as the commission until late March of 2016, when we started receiving public complaints with regard to the tactical firing range that was apparently, allegedly in operation, that was creating substantial noise, and there were neighbors of the property who were beginning to complain. That was followed then with a written complaint by one of the neighbors, the Duquettes, on March 31st, 2016. According to the zoning ordinance then, when we receive a written complaint by a neighbor with regard to a zoning issue, we are required to have the zoning enforcement officer investigate the issue, which is what we did. The zoning enforcement officer then did some initial research and determined that, in fact, the Chapos had formed a corporation called Deputy Big Shot, and that they were, in fact, in operation and had a website advertising a commercial outdoor tactical firing range, which included not only firing range available to the public at cost, but also some tactical training and seminars that were taking place at the property. As a result of that investigation then, on April 6, 2016, the zoning enforcement officer issued an order pursuant to the Jefferson County zoning ordinance, ordering the Chapos to cease and desist, essentially, and to stop what was considered an illegal use and a violation of the zoning ordinance on the property. In response to that, on April 19th, 2016, the Chapos submitted a written letter to the Plan Commission, specifically to the zoning enforcement officer, which was then provided to the Plan Commission, responding to the allegations and the complaints. There were several different responses made by the Chapos, but there was no denial of the fact that, in fact, they were operating an outdoor firing range and tactical range. As a result, then, the Plan Commission had a public meeting on April 20th, and there was substantial public comment at that meeting as well. The Plan Commission's issue, the sole issue, was whether or not there had been a violation of the Jefferson County zoning ordinance, particularly with regard to the fact that a conditional use permit had been applied for, denied, and then the property owners were in fact going forward with the use that had been previously requested. Everybody was given opportunity for public comment, and at the end of the meeting, at a unanimous vote of the Plan Commission, it was voted to recommend litigation to seek an injunction, which would be a court order to prevent the ongoing violation of the zoning ordinance, and to potentially seek out fines according to the ordinance, which under the Jefferson County zoning ordinance is up to $2,500 daily, but that would be at the court's discretion. The primary issue is the injunctive relief. The Jefferson County Plan Commission is authorized by Section 11.5C of the zoning ordinance to pursue injunctive relief with the Jefferson Circuit Court. That is Section 28.823 of the county ordinances. They're the same ordinance, it's just different codification. We have historically come to the commissioners to present our resolution to request that we have the authority to go forward. Frankly, the ordinance provides the authority, but because it is a county issue and because you are the county commissioners, we believe that it's important that you're aware of what the situation is, particularly with anything that's going to involve ongoing litigation. The resolution, I believe, has been presented to each of the members. The resolution, again, was passed unanimously by the Plan Commission. The only issue, as far as the Plan Commission is concerned, is that it's a business that's in operation, which is in violation of the zoning ordinance. We cannot allow for people to operate businesses outside of the ordinance, and that we need to seek injunctive relief.
Okay. Thank you, Pat, for informing us of the Plan Commission's role and action so far. Do the commissioners have a role in this?
The commissioners are also authorized to begin litigation with regard to any issue on behalf of the county. The zoning ordinance, which is Section 11.5C or 28.823C, it authorizes actually the commissioners, the Board of Zoning Appeals, the Plan Commission, and even the zoning enforcement officer or anybody designated by the Plan Commission to seek out injunctive relief on behalf of the county with regard to zoning violations. So historically, the Plan Commission has come to the commissioners seeking approval of their resolution, although frankly that the ordinance would authorize the Plan Commission to go forward.
It's my feeling that this, well, let me backtrack. At a commissioners meeting, the Duquettes came forward with a complaint, and we informed them at that time that the issue should be resolved with the Plan Commission, and then referred them to the Plan Commission. They called a special meeting, and everything unfolded as you detailed earlier. The proper venue is with the Plan Commission. So, in my view, I would urge you to suggest that the Plan Commission proceed with their duties and respect all the due process rights of all the parties involved. And all right. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, again, historically, we've sought actually a vote from the commissioners authorizing the litigation. But as I've said, I mean, my opinion is that the ordinance doesn't actually require it. But particularly because the Duquettes did bring the issue to the commissioners at a commissioner meeting. Again, the Plan Commission is an advisory plan commission, which means that primarily they serve to advise the commissioners. And certainly in other circumstances, like the amendment of the ordinance, we don't amend the ordinance. You do, and so we make recommendations to amend the ordinance. And so I think out of an abundance of caution, we bring the issue to the Plan Commission, to the county commissioners to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Well, my concern is it would muddy the waters, whereas clearly the Plan Commission should be the lead role on this actions from here on forward. And if you need a role from the commissioners, I would want to refer it to our county attorney for an opinion on that. So my question is, do the commissioners have a role, or could you proceed forward without it?
We can proceed forward without the commissioners, and based on the unanimous vote of the Plan Commission, I don't anticipate any problems from the Plan Commission having any issues with going forward on the litigation as authorized by the ordinance.
Any comments, concerns from?
Well, I don't think there's any question we support the board, but to me, this should have taken off last week when you came to the board's decision. I mean, like you said, you have the authority to do it. And we had our meeting and people had their say, and like we said, the venue should be across the street, which that did happen, so I think that's where it needs to stay.
I think everything's been done in the proper order so far.
And process the law.
But I want to be sure and follow the due process, and I think we have, and I urge you to proceed.
Understood?
That's all we need.
That's all we need. Thank you.
Are you granting your blessings to them? Is that what you just said to proceed?
I'm acknowledging that that they are the proper venue to proceed for this. The commissioners don't have a role per se.
No,
The
that's
plan-
me personally. Is this your personal opinion is to support the Plan Commission to go ahead and proceed?
Mr. Schaefer, you're a member, you are actually the county commissioner that is a member of the Plan Commission, and you unfortunately were not able to attend the public meeting until late in the session, and you actually abstained from the vote. And so given that, I'm not sure that you are in a position to make public comment about your personal position on the issue.
Understood. I think the position of the commissioners is to, can't speak for the other two of us.
Can
That
they
the
speak
proper-
for themselves?
Excuse me?
Are they allowed to speak for themselves?
Yes, I've asked for that.
I'm not against you at all,
That's not what I asked.
okay? I'm not against the other people in here either. I'm just saying, there's due process, there's boards, there's enforcers. I'm not the
And
enforcer.
the Plan Commission said that they were coming here to ask for your blessings on this resolution.
And
Are
I
you
said-
granting your blessings on this resolution?
I said I support the board. They're the enforcers of the violation, not me.
Alleged violation.
Well, oh, I'm sorry, alleged violations. But there again, I didn't bring it upon myself.
I'm kind of confused as to why we're here.
Me too. It should have ended over there that night.
But look at all the time all these people have had to spend to come here. I don't even know if this is the right venue. But yet these people have traveled a long way and everyone's got their say. So is the board even going to hear this? The Plan Commission, the one that's supposed to take this action?
The Plan Commission has already held public hearing, and public comment was received at that public hearing. And again, I don't disagree with the feelings of Mr. Schaefer and Mr. Little that the proper venue is with the Plan Commission. Again, it's because of the history of this issue that it was actually brought to the commissioners before it was brought to the Plan Commission, and as well as just sort of a historical Plan Commission coming to the commissioners for advice on the issue. My understanding of the position that Mr. Schaefer is taking is that he is not recommending any motion for the commissioners, which I believe then would be interpreted as no official action on behalf of the commissioners. I mean, if you don't make a motion, if you don't vote on it, if there is no pass or fail, then there is no official action on behalf of the commissioners, and it would revert back to the Plan Commission to proceed with enforcement according to the ordinance.
So what was the resolution that you presented to them to act on today?
The resolution was in keeping with the motion that was made by Mr. Auksher at the Plan Commission meeting, which was a resolution to recommend litigation to the county commissioners, as well as to reissue the order to cease and desist after council had an opportunity to review it. The order has been reissued, and we did bring the resolution to the Jefferson County Commissioners, and that was the purpose of the meeting.
You're talking about the resolution that you served me with today, where I pointed out that you cited an invalid code when you gave us the initial order to cease the illegal activities.
No, I'm talking about a resurface of the order to cease and desist.
A reissue, but it states your corrected code that I brought to your attention. So we haven't been served until today.
The only addition to the order that you've received is that it includes the county code citations as well as the Jefferson County zoning code citations.
It includes citation of what laws that we have allegedly violated.
As
I want to know, what is it that you're telling me I need to cease and desist?
The allegation is that there is an operation of a commercial, tactical, and firing range which was applied for conditional use in 2012 and was denied.
Define.
And that you as the landowner have gone forward with the commercial enterprise without the permit.
Show me and the definition of commercial in the agricultural zone, please. Show me what you're considering commercial and how that violates my right to use my property. My right for my Second Amendment right to use my property and to share it with others. Please show me what am I supposed to cease? I'm supposed to give up my lands. I'm supposed to give up my rights. My right to allow people to use my land. I don't understand what you're asking me to give up on this order. An order that you just now gave me that actually correlates to your zoning law. Show me your zoning law, the word commercial. Show me where I have violated.
Commissioners, I apologize. I entertained some discussion outside the scope of the procedure that you had set. My apologies.
Yeah, the proper venue for this is through the action of the Plan Commission, and you need to proceed forward with this and to get this settled, using all due process.
You need to this is a due process. I'm asking for due process. I haven't had due process. I've been accused of commercial. I've been accused of public. I want to tell you what I found on Merriam-Webster's dictionary. Public, a group of people having common interest or characteristics, specifically the group at which a particular activity or enterprise aims. There's nothing against the law. There's nothing that this county regulates on me using public or commercial. You don't even define it. My due process can be in the court of law. But you are witnessing right here that you've got a problem with your code, and I have not had due process. So you put your blessings on that one, please.
I think this is getting outside the range of what we can do here. So that just has to go forward through the Plan Commission and their attorney and get the issues resolved.
Is there no chance of working this out?
What are you asking us to do?
I just said, is there any chance of the board and
I'm asking,
I don't know.
What is the resolution?
I'm just trying to,
Do you want to hear from all these people and maybe ask that question?
this is not the place for it.
You're not going to allow public comment?
I didn't say that. I said this is not the venue to do
If
this.
it's not the venue, then why are you asking me if there's something we can do?
I asked you if there was any chance of resolving it between you and the board. That's all I said.
What
Don't
is
take it out of
the
context.
issue up here? All
Say
right.
again?
What is the issue here? You trying to restrict my free use of my land?
I'm not trying to restrict
Not
anything.
You as Jefferson County. You are a representative of Jefferson County. What can you offer us that would resolve this?
Maybe nothing.
I'm asking you.
The problem with resolution is that the decision of the Board of Zoning Appeal was in 2012. That decision has long since passed the period for review. I understand that this is a hot button issue, but from the Plan Commission, the Plan Commission is made up of members of Jefferson County who live in the county, many of whom are rural landowners, many of whom are gun owners, many of whom fire their guns on their property as they are allowed to do. This is not, from the Plan Commission, a Second Amendment issue. It's not even really a gun issue at this point. The surveyor in a recent interview mentioned that this would be no different if it was a mini putt-putt course. It's the operation of a business which changes the character of the property, which requires a conditional use permit, which the Chapos did in fact apply for and were denied. So from our perspective, it's purely enforcement at this point. Relitigating or rehearing the issue of the use itself isn't even really the issue. It's whether or not we allow for a violation of the ordinance to go forward. And my understanding from the commissioners is that as of today, you're not taking any official action, which is fine. Again, because of the history of the issue, because of the history of the Plan Commission acting in an advisory role, we wanted to bring the issue to the commissioners so that you were aware of it. But no, we don't need any official action from you to proceed.
Thank you. So this is not the venue to argue. The venue for that arguments are with the Plan Commission, Sherry. And
I
we have to.
understand. He's making his case with you. My due process allows me to question that, so we're in a public meeting and he's asking for your blessings. And we can challenge this legally, but I'm asking this county if they are prepared to go ahead and commit county resources to fighting us on something that is, in fact, a Second Amendment right. You are trying to regulate. You are trying to call me commercial. You can't regulate that. You don't have the right to do that. Shooting ranges, gun shops, isn't even in your schedule of uses. You put us under sporting goods and bicycles for our gun shop and other amusements. If you don't specifically regulate it, you can't include it because it's excluded. You are trying to group us and to do this. If he makes his legal arguments here, I'm allowed to do the same. So I want the commissioners to understand that you will be implicating yourself and county resources into fighting this.
Are you regulating me from personal shooting,
Right.
from friends coming out and using my property, family coming out and using my property? Is that the problem?
It's obvious these things need to be settled through litigation.
But we've got an injunction. He's talking about an injunction. We've got a cease order. What are we supposed to cease? Please tell me.
Again, these are all things that were discussed at the Plan Commission meeting that was held on April 20th.
They were discussed. What was discussed? That we were supposed to do what? I don't understand. We're doing my private rights and my supposable commercial rights. Stopping in.
What are they different?
What is the difference? I don't understand. You've
Is
been
it-
allowed to
Is
test.
it me charging someone to use my property to shoot? If that's the case, then we will.
We've
have
already
no-
gone to
charging me.
donation. There's no charge to use our range. We accept donations on those.
But you have to keep the property.
I'm sorry?
But you have to keep the property, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cost us money? Cost us time?
No, I have lived by these people for 12 to 15 years. I am their closest neighbor. I have no problem with this. It has not damaged my property. It has not damaged my home. They are very safe. They are very good neighbors.
Okay,
They are bringing
other neighbors as well.
Honey,
Um,
do you know where I live? I live right beside them.
Okay, we live right next to them.
I-
So,
Yeah, you need to look at the location first, okay?
really,
Anyway,
where am I not
Anyway.
Folks, please address your questions to the commissioners, not each other. If you have a disagreement, please take it outside. This is not the proper place for interpersonal discussion.
Yes, sir.
I tried raising my hand earlier, but nobody acknowledged me.
But-
I drove all the way from Louisville, Kentucky.
Mhm.
A year and a half ago, my neighbor 2 doors down was robbed during the day, motor piece.
and I thought, hey, I need to get a gun to protect myself. When I bought this gun, I didn't know the first thing about it other than aim, point, and shoot. I didn't know gun safety. I didn't know anything about how to hit your target, how to be safe when you're moving with your weapon. I learned that at this property, and I didn't pay anything while I was there learning all this. I'm really baffled that you all are trying to take away the Second Amendment right.
No.
Yes,
Yes.
you are. You're
Yes.
trying to take that away. You're wanting to classify everything as commercial just so you can pull the string and get it yanked. That's not right.
Yeah, but you don't live next to it and hear the noise.
Excuse me.
Folks, folks,
Hold up.
address the commissioners, please.
The issue is not gun rights, it's the licensing of a business in an agricultural area, and the Plan Commission is in charge of regulating these things and making sure everything is done properly. And the Plan Commission needs to move forward and make sure everything is done correctly. I understand your point about that. Another comment? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Bart Warren, and I live at 3460 North Spry Road, and I wasn't here in the last one. This is hard for everybody. I do live, they're in my front door. I'm just right there. Our farm joins theirs. It's okay. I know we target practice sometimes. I know they have before this gun deal came up. I don't have an objection for the guns or the sale of ammunition, but the firing range, it's so noisy. I'm getting ready to retire, and I don't want to hear it all the time. I'm only home on weekends now on account of work, but I don't like hearing it all the time. I mean, we sit in our living room and still hear it. And this goes on, I know, from 9:15 at night till 10:15. And it's really, I think, aggravation.
Address the commissioners.
Excuse me.
I think it could be just resentment of us trying to keep our community a quiet, living, respectable place. I don't have any problem with the sale of firearms or ammo. I don't. It's just the firing all the time. And I'm sorry.
All right.
I have been there many times, firing my weapons and seeking out gun safety training. We have never gone past 6 o'clock. We have never started before 12 p.m.
12 noon?
Yes, sir. And I say that because I was there.
I'll say
All
that
right.
because I'm right beside them. My property adjoins Mr. Chabo.
Okay. Ma'am with the hand up,
My
please.
name is Frances Graham, 9795 West Deputy Park Road, Deputy, Indiana.
Thank you.
We live about 2/10 of a mile from there. They did fire this past Sunday night at 20 after 9. We were trying to sit on our porch sleep. And they do fire from about 8 o'clock of the morning until, most of the time it's 8 or 9, but Sunday night it was 20 after 9, and it went, it wasn't just bang, bang, okay?
Okay.
And my husband is recuperating from cancer and a heart attack.
Okay. I appreciate your comments, but actually this is not the venue for this kind of discussion. The discussion here today is an enforcement of our zoning ordinances, and we need this to proceed through the Plan Commission and then to resolve the issue. So,
He just said that they didn't fire past 6. They did fire, and it was on Sunday.
I do have a question. If you all knew the law before they opened up their range, why didn't you guys tell them specifically what they can and cannot do?
I think Mr. McGrath addressed those issues in his comments earlier through the history of the whole concern. Yes, sir. All right.
No one was notified about the last meeting that you all had. I live at 9966. which adjoins Joe and Sherry's property. I didn't even know this meeting was until I seen it on Facebook. I took off work to come down here to support this man and this woman. They are trying to support their family off of their land. They bought that land, they paid taxes on that land, and it is not bothering anyone. What about the gun range up here behind the Humane Society, where they're right in a subdivision? That is what the sheriff's department uses, the police department uses. Was this a big ruckus then? I would say probably not. There used to be vehicles that would pull over in Mr. Chapo's log yard and sit there for hours. And he would have to go out there and find out what they were doing. Of course, they left by that time. I have suspicions. You all in here probably have the same suspicions that I have. But that has ceased. There is not cars parked up and down the pike in random areas waiting on other cars to come. I feel safer in my house and in my home. And if my air is on, I cannot hear it. You go in the house and you shut the doors, I cannot hear them. I have never heard them after 9 o'clock at night. They do not shoot in the dark. You can't see in the dark. There is other people on that same pike that have guns. Myself, yes. We shoot clay pigeons. We shoot 22s. It may not have been them. Who knows it was them? Do you have a picture saying that it was Mr. and Mrs. Jacob down there shooting? I don't think so.
Once again, I appreciate your comment, but this is not the venue. This is a plan commission matter, and it needs to proceed forward to resolve the issues.
I challenge them to show proof that they are making these violations.
As it proceeds forward, you'll have the opportunity. All right. Any other discussion?
Can I just clarify with Mr. McGrath? What am I supposed to cease doing?
The zoning enforcement officer issued a cease and desist order which outlines the violation and orders that the violation cease.
Okay, so,
Okay.
So,
so we need to
It's-
read
could you
it's in
explain
writing.
that?
Yeah.
Which is what, shooting?
We've had a public hearing at which the issue was fully discussed.
Was anyone notified of the public hearing?
All
in the
hearings
area?
of the Plan Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals are noticed pursuant to Indiana Code.
Yes.
I guess I might have lost what I'm supposed to do or not supposed to do.
Are you restricting us from using guns ourselves? Question.
That's
Are you
Not-
restricting us from shooting guns on our own property?
Right.
What is this? What is this for? You just now today served me
You wanna
with your
address
proper
it?
code.
Um,
Is it?
My question
The
is, if
commissioners-
this goes further, you get an injunction. Anytime a firearm goes off within a half a mile of me, I'm going to be accused of it.
We already are.
We are right now.
Does that
What am
mean
I
I can't
supposed
go
to
up there and shoot?
And I'm very guilty of shooting guns at my house, which
I sat
adjoins
in a
this.
hot tub Saturday morning and heard gunfire. It wasn't from us. I hear it Sunday mornings. It's not from us.
During church.
It's not the issue of shooting guns on your personal property is not an issue here.
I
The issue
understand
is
that.
the
The issue is if I charge someone to shoot on my
commercial
property.
aspect.
I don't want to muddy the waters too much on this commercial issue. The commercial aspect was part of their original application, and it was part of what was considered by the Board of Zoning Appeals in determining the issue for the Board of Zoning Appeals is whether or not it substantially changes the character of the property such that it is a detrimental use to neighboring properties as a result of noise, odor, etc. I mean, I'm paraphrasing from both the Indiana Code as well as our county ordinance. So the issue was a change in the character of the property. Yes, Jefferson County does allow for discharge of firearms, your private firearms in the county. That's not the issue, which is why I say it's not a gun issue for us. It's the issue of changing the character of the property to open it up to a much different use than private shooting.
Define private, please.
This
I
is
don't
not the
understand.
venue for this discussion.
Right, I mean, we've had this public hearing, and I mean.
Well, and
we
you
can
just now
find
today,
terms.
you had a private hearing, you had a public hearing on the wrong code that you had cited. But It says the owners applied for a conditional use permit to build and operate an indoor-outdoor tactical and test fire range. That application was considered and denied at a public hearing on October 2nd, 2012 and November 7th, 2012. In violation of the ordinance and decision of the Board of Zoning Appeals, owners have built and begun operation of an indoor-outdoor tactical and test fire range. You are hereby ordered by the Jefferson County Zoning Enforcement Officer to take the following action necessary to correct such violation. Discontinue the above described illegal use of the above described land, buildings, or structures. What am I supposed to cease? According to your county ordinance 28.5.15 and 28.9 and others, etc. I don't understand what you are asking
We're
me to
just asking
cease
for
or desist.
clarification on it.
This is a private property Second Amendment issue. You are telling me that I cannot operate what? Where does private and your commercial intersect here? Please tell me. I don't understand this. And I also want to bring up, under the county zoning ordinance, you don't define or regulate noise, at least not in the agricultural district. Under Indiana Code 1422, Section 5, subsection 6, our range is grandfathered. Further stating a person who owns, operates, or uses a shooting range is not liable in any civil or criminal matter relating to noise or noise pollution. But yet you're proceeding with action and you're advising or asking for their blessings to go ahead and do that when you really have questionable standing here. And I don't understand. What are we supposed to cease? You give me an injunction. What are you telling me to stop doing? I'm not charging for my range. I'm sharing my land with others. So tell me, what have I violated in your zoning law?
This issue has to be resolved outside of the commissioner's office. It cannot be resolved here at the Plan Commission.
They brought it to you.
And they need to proceed, and then you respond as the events go forward in the process. That's best I
But
can
in the
do.
time being, can we go up there and donate money and use Mr. and Mrs. Chapo's land?
That's not up to me.
Well,
That has to be
then who
You
has
guys
the
are
answer?
talking in circles, man. You're saying that they can't do something, but you're not wanting to specifically tell them what they can and cannot do.
My understanding from the commissioners is that no official action is going to be taken by the commissioners at this meeting.
Yes.
The Plan Commission has held a public hearing, has considered all of these issues and more, and the Plan Commission will make its determination of how to proceed then.
Yes.
So
And
we can continue as we have been. We can continue to donate if we choose to and go up there and use their firing range, correct?
The Plan Commission has already made a determination that it's a violation of the ordinance, and again, my understanding is that the commissioners are taking no official action today.
Yes.
You're still not giving a yes or no answer.
What ordinance?
It's very, very easy.
It's not
Yes or no.
It's not up to the commissioners to have a yes or no answer here. The Plan Commission enforces the zoning ordinances, and they are going to proceed.
I'm really asking the other gentleman because Sherry has already asked him several times, what can they do? And he has not yet answered her.
He keeps blaming it on the commission. We already know that you all are out. This young man needs to tell us. Black and white. It's not mud. It's black and white. Yes or no?
If I may, you can't operate any sort of organization that substantially changes the nature of that zone.
How does this substantially change?
All of your neighbors have said, except for the ones that are here now,
All my neighbors.
enough that it's become a problem.
This is a private property issue.
It is.
This is my
It is
Second
private.
Amendment right to
No.
use my property.
We also have a right,
You cannot regulate the
Yes.
use of my land.
yes, we can. That's
You
called a zoning
cannot-
law.
You
We can't have
cannot
zoning laws?
restrict. Absolutely. That's my inalienable right. Would you like me to read you the Constitution? Well, I think
Ma'am.
maybe.
Are you
Calm down a little bit.
Are you restricting me from having friends over to shoot on my property?
No.
So I can have friends over?
Who's allowed on the range?
And you have
Friends,
30 friends
family.
over there.
That's not what you said at the last hearing. Who's allowed on the range?
I'll call it
Anyone,
myself.
anyone. That's not a
Define
private
anyone.
range.
What difference does that make?
You want me to define anyone? Anyone.
Why does that, what difference does that make? It's my
Because
property.
we didn't allow you to do that.
Oh, and you can restrict
Yes.
my free right to use my land.
Yes.
You cannot restrict my rights, my Second Amendment rights to use my land and to share my land as
We
such.
can control the way you
We
use
can
your
find
land.
out about that in court. You're gonna implicate yourself in a federal lawsuit here if you continue. And this commission, you better be well advised that that's exactly where we're heading here.
As a voter.
And this will hold each one of you individually responsible for where you're going.
Ms. Jacob, please stop threatening the commissioners.
I'm not threatening, I am not, this is not a threat.
There are immunity laws with regard to commissioners and making their decisions in the nature of public interest.
I'm addressing
We're just
seconds
trying
to
to
the
get
planning
clarity.
commission. I can't get an answer here as to what it is that you are trying to restrict us from. You have not been able to define what I can and cannot do. Are you gonna file an injunction if I can ask?
That's not my decision. It's the planning commission's
So you
decision.
have to go back for another meeting from the plan commission. Is that gonna be a public meeting?
The planning commission has already passed by resolution the intent to go forward with litigation and has asked for the commissioners to review it. The commissioners are taking no official action, which means it goes back to the planning.
So I'm asking the plan commission,
I'm not
are
the planning commission.
you are the attorney for the
I'm
plan
the
commission?
attorney.
So what is the next step for the plan commission?
It's going to be for the planning commission to determine going forward.
But they don't have to hold a public meeting, so do they have to have a forum? How do they decide that they are going to proceed with litigation?
Ms. Chico, it's not the issue for today.
I'm asking you,
It's not the issue for today, though. This is a commissioners meeting.
but they've already said that they don't have any reason to be here, but
I agree.
that's what we're talking about.
Well, then why are we?
All right. I'd like to recognize
Oh,
the
yes,
gentleman in the white
sir.
shirt.
Are you gonna have a shoot-in this weekend? Because I
Grand
understand.
opening this weekend.
No, address only the
Well, this
commissioners,
is the
please.
noise thing, because 800 rounds of ammunition, 30 people, that's a little bit more than a neighborhood. Hey, guys, go outside, shoot your guns, fine. Guys, friends that I know live near us, they go and shoot guns, fine, do it, you got you. But there's the extreme. We've lived with this for 4 years, fine, why don't we say anything now? Because it seems like it's accelerated more and a little bit more. And then we say, something about the law says they were sort of cease and desist. Well, okay, that's the matter, cease and desist. After that, yes, do the courts, get definition, so you know what you're talking about. But to say Bible and guns, Jesse used the Bible in Desert Storm, not a BB gun. The Bible, let's not drag that in, it seems more like Old Testament. Let's stick with the New Testament, work together. But that's my sermon there.
Okay. Thank you for the comment. I like,
So
you
is
can
there,
speak, you've spoke several times already. I like to recognize the gentleman in the plaid shirt in the back. And then after that, everyone has spoken plenty today. We just need to adjourn and then let the due process go forward from here. Your comment, sir?
As a voter and constituent here in the county, I would like to know exactly who you guys voted in office to represent and why you haven't come to any form of conclusion on this matter. Because from what I've seen here, it doesn't seem like you want to put any input into, yes or no or what have you, when there are plenty of us in the community that would love to have this range open for private, use, so that we can learn safe practice of firearms, and we have a safe place to shoot, as opposed to some Joe shooting in his backyard being unsafe.
Okay.
So, I want to know exactly why you guys didn't make a decision here today.
Because the decision is to be made by the plan commission, not the commissioners. It would be improper for us to do so. That would be undermining one of the areas of county government. So that's why.
I have one thing I'd like to say.
Quickly.
Okay. All these people in this room, I think, are neighbors of Mr. and Ms. Jacob. They are very reasonable people. If you would go and talk to them and say, hey, we're planning whatever, can we wait a few hours before they start shooting or whatever? I'm sure that Joe and Sherry would abide by this. They do not shoot on Sundays because of years ago, there was a church thing, and they said it interrupts church. So they wait until after church is let out. Why can't we all get along instead of throwing stones at each other? Why? That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.